alt moment special, o altă sesiune specială acum. Este vorba despre un nou partener care se alătură ecosistemului ARSC și a ceea ce înseamnă ROPAT, MOL România. Am să-i dau cuvântul acum și am să-l invit să vină alături de noi aici în față, domnului Horváth Ádám, Group DS New and Sustainable Business VP at MOL Group. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much and welcome everyone. It's really an honor to present. I think I'm the last presenter before the break, yeah, so I try to be concise, and if I hope that the presentation can be put on the screen.
We will wait just a little bit.
Yeah. Even that, probably I start that you might ask that kind of a oil and gas company, what do we do here at the Smart City conference? But to me this conference is about mobility as well. And on one side that today oil and gas companies are the major energy provider of the entire mobility of the globe. But even more at MOL, we like to position ourselves more than just a traditional oil and gas company. We position ourselves as someone who is providing energy in whatever form to the mobility today and tomorrow as well. And we have a very kind of a serious efforts and projects to make this even more sustainable than it is today. So let me talk a little bit about kind of MOL's role in the energy transition, in our sustainable journey, achievements what we are very proud of, but on the other side I would also like to talk about challenges and would like to paint actually a realistic picture what we are facing and the whole industry is facing with. If we can move to the next slide. Yeah, EU has a kind of a ever-growing sustainability ambition, which is kind of defined by the Fit for 55 proposal, and even the bar was kind of elevated higher with the Renewable Energy Directive, which sets, if I very kind of simplify it, that by 2030, by the end of this decade, which is pretty close, I must say, close to 30% of the energy in the transportation sector should be sustainable. I know I oversimplified, but it's a huge challenge. At the moment, it's around between 10-12%, I would say so, which is connected to sustainability. But because there are certain kind of sub-criteria, increasing this 10% to this 30% is not just an effort of tripling. It's much higher, because all the additions is more challenging, requiring more investments. And besides sustainability, we also must talk about energy trilemma, how we are called it in the energy industry, that we not only have to provide sustainable energy for the transportation, but we also have to kind of provide energy always, which is available in a large amount, since supply security has become a more and more important topic, especially after 2022 and the Russian war, or Ukrainian war. And beside supply security and besides sustainability, affordability is the other big question mark, because customers obviously would like to have a cheap energy in the mobility, which is harder and harder to provide while we are also financing the green transformation. So we are very happy that the Industrial Antwerp Declaration, the Draghi report in the EU, and recently the Budapest Declaration, competitiveness has become actually a more and more hot topic beside the sustainability. And let's go a little bit deeper into this regulation. Yeah, within that 29%, as I said, there are sub-targets, and if we have to play actually on all the instruments. We have to be part in the first generation biofuels. We have to provide waste-based fuels for the economy. We also kind of have to face with the challenge of the advanced biofuel technologies, where we are investing into hydrogen and investing into biomethane value chains. And even beyond that, sustainable aviation fuel and other exotic kind of solutions to its share. And there is this largest part on the top. This is the kind of a 14.5%, which is the kind of flexible part. Solve it how you will like it. But I must say that the regulation was written, in my view, from a Western European perspective, definitely, because it certainly prioritizes electrification over everything, and not necessarily taking into account Central Eastern European reality, and not taking into account the differences between different regions. And unfortunately, I think electrification is coming in Central Eastern Europe, but unfortunately it's coming slower than in Western part of the Europe. The average age of our car fleet is much older than Western Europe. The availability of the cheap renewable resources are rather limited in some of the countries. And these kind of heritage, these kind of facts should not be penalized by the system, but should be rather accepted, acknowledged, and subsidized even more the transformation than elsewhere. If we go to the next slide, how we can imagine about the decarbonization of the mobility, because we would like and we are very committed to decarbonize the mobility of the future. I would say that different kind of mobility needs and different mobility modes probably will face, and it's the pie chart is not really visible with the PDF transformation, unfortunately. I will try to explain, because I think the key point of the message is not clear from the slide in this version. So in the different transportation modes, there are different kind of alternatives. In the city, transportation electrification probably takes its largest share. But because of the grid limitations, and because of some geographical kind of facts of the cities and the range limitations of the electrified buses, it's not a kind of a unique and ultimate solution for everything. And there, I think CNG, bio-based CNG could be a real alternative solution, and later on probably even green hydrogen once it's getting more and more cost efficient. In the interurban, suburban transportation, can you please go back? No, not that direction. Yes, in the interurban buses, where the range is probably the most critical factor, I think bio-CNG could be a real alternative. Interestingly, a very good kind of decarbonization solution. A CNG bus which is using only 40% of bio-based CNG and mix it with natural gas can reduce the carbon emission by 55%. So all the regulators should take into account not only the tailpipe emission, but actually the whole well-to-wheel type of entire value chain emission. And from this aspect, bio-based gases, bio-CNG, could be a good solution. And later on, obviously, liquid fuels with higher and higher share of renewables could be also a major contributor, and green hydrogen on longer run. But I must say, as of today, it's not cost efficient. In case of heavy-duty trucks, freight, probably the biggest competition between different alternative solutions. The bio LNG could be an interesting solution. The liquid fuels, advanced biofuels could be also, and again hydrogen. Rather, I would, in my view, rather at the end of the next decade than this decade, because of the technological kind of prematurity of the value chain. But certainly it could be an interesting alternative solution on long run. Aviation, the hardest things to decarbonize, no question. Sustainable aviation fuel and within that synthetic and e-fuel could provide some solution. But fossil-based fuel probably remains predominant in this area. Regarding fixed track, we heard a lot about electrification of railways. probably that's clear that here electrification is the most important solution to decarbonize. But there are gonna be some routes which is too costly to electrify, and here green hydrogen could provide solution. While in the maritime, bio-LNG and bio-ammonia and green ammonia could be a solution. So moving forward and looking it from a little bit different angle, if you, yes, that different mobility needs requires different kind of fuel solutions. I must say that in the coming 10 years, in our view, especially in our region, fossil-based fuels remain the dominant energy provider for the mobility, even if it's probably in 10 years' time already starting to decrease. But in almost all the kind of mobility modes, it's remain the largest energy provider. Regarding bio-based CNG and bio-based LNG, as I said, not in passenger cars, but in public bus transport and in heavy duty as well in form of LNG. We believe so that it has its relevancy, and we hope so that regulation is equally supporting all the kind of alternative tools in the future and on EU level to be able to have a cheap and affordable way of decarbonization of our mobility. And beside this, obviously, electrification is playing a major role. But as I said, it's not a kind of a magic ultimate solution for everything. So it has its own limitation. Can you please go back? Yes. It has its own limitation, especially when we are talking about heavy freight transport, when we are kind of moving many of tons on the road because of the range limitation. It's probably not the easiest and not the definitely not the cheapest solutions. Here comes on long run green hydrogen, which is a technology what we have to experiment, what we have to develop further. And at MOL Group, actually, we are already investing in it. So in the coming couple of minutes, I would probably talk just very briefly about two value chains and our experience there. And these are biomethane, biogas, and the green hydrogen. Why biomass, biogas, and biomethane? Please go to the next slide. Because biogas is practically a solution which fulfills the energy trilemma, probably better than anything else. So I talked about three things: sustainability, affordability, and supply security. Certainly it's a sustainable solutions. Actually, it's not only sustainable, but even circular. So everything you move into a biogas plant as a feedstock, 100 tons, 95 tons of that is going back to the agriculture. So it's a real kind of evidence of the circular economy. And it's not only could be zero emission, but compared to alternative utilization of some of the feedstocks like manure, it actually has a negative GHG emission, and it's probably one of the best effort to decrease the overall emission. So it's sustainable. It's from supply security point of view, it's processing local feedstocks. It's decreasing the import pressure on all the countries. It has its own limitation from feedstock perspective. It's never gonna be a dominant energy carrier, but if it contributes to 10 to 15, potentially even 20% to the gas need of a country, I think it's already a sizable portion of that, and it can be utilized indirectly in transportation as well. So it's sustainable, it's increasing the supply security, and it's also affordable because between the different alternative solutions, if you are compare it to any green solutions, it's practically the cheapest solution, and I must say it's all the countries' natural interest actually to comply with EU regulation in the most efficient and cheapest way, because that leads to competitiveness. So that's why we stepped into this value chain middle of last year when we acquired one of the largest Hungarian biogas plant, which is, as of today, producing more than 12 million cubic meter biogas. And we are aiming to develop it further and process further this biogas to biomethane and utilize either directly in transportation or kind of decarbonizing or industrial processes in the refineries. And this was only the first step on a longer journey. So if we move to the next slide, which is summarizing our plans in this value chain. We can talk about beside the upgrade of this facility, we are continuously looking for further inorganic and greenfield organic investment opportunities in the countries. We already kind of sanctioned a project in Croatia, which is going to be the first biomethane plant of the country. We spent close to 40 million euro, hopefully supported by EU funds as well, and the project is covered by the European Resilience and Recovery Fund partially. And we are mapping continuously the neighborhood in countries, Slovakia and including Romania, to find good opportunities to develop our footprint in this interesting value chain. If we move to the next one, which is green hydrogen, is something which is about the long-term future, but having the fact that it's at the moment is not competitive. Can you please? It's not competitive yet, but if we are not trying it, it's not going to be competitive ever. So that's why we decided actually already 2 years ago in 2022 to invest into electrolysis technology and purely financed from the corporate free cash flow. We invested 22 million euro into this 10 megawatt electrolyzer facility at the Hungarian refinery, Danube refinery, which is this kind of plant was just inaugurated in April this year, and the commercial kind of production started this September. So it's pretty fresh experience, but we are very proud of that this electrolyzer is actually the largest operating electrolyzer facility in Central Europe as of today. And it's very important to collect real experience about this new technology before we are deciding to invest into any kind of large-scale scale-up of this technology. But we are planning to invest actually. So if you move to the next slide, you can see that beside the Croatian similar size of electrolyzer facility, again subsidized hopefully by the Croatian Recovery and Resiliency Fund, and that's why where I highlight that obviously all these kind of financial subsidies are super crucial to decide regarding this otherwise non-profitable investment. This facility is on the way, it's under construction and will be finished by 2026, decreasing the carbon emission of the refinery by close to 25 kiloton per year. A similar size of facility in Slovakia among the plans, and we are already working on the preparatory phase of the first large-scale industrial scale of investment in the Hungarian Danube refinery by the end of this decade. And beside the kind of production, I would highlight here probably for this community is even more important message, the cooperation along the value chain. Because if there is no green hydrogen demand on the market, why a producer shall decide about to invest into this value chain? So at the beginning of this year in January, actually, we signed a strategic cooperation with the largest Hungarian public transport company, which is organizing the public transport of Budapest, capital, and also with the largest freight company, Waberers, which is a region-wide or European scale logistics company, in order to align our efforts, in order to develop projects as per the future market needs. So we identified the first location of the green hydrogen filling station. We identified a pathway and the ramp up along we would like to invest into this value chain. Hopefully, as I said, subsidized by central funds, because as of today, without question, it's not an economic decision to invest into that. So we took it seriously. We not only kind of talk about green hydrogen, but we are investing actually in it. But we invest into it in a smart way. If you can go to the last slide of mine, which is summarizing probably the key messages. We are very committed to be part of the energy transition of Central Eastern Europe at MOL Group. But probably we would like to highlight that there are certain kind of aspects, certain kind of enablers which makes it successful. We believe, as I said, in smart transition, and it's probably time to put more focus on competitiveness. And beside of Fit for 55, probably we should talk about fit for reality and make this transition a realistic approach. And for that, I think reducing regulatory burden on the industries and creating a stable and supporting environment is key on EU and national level. And it's time to revisit some of the current regulations. I think it's inevitable to acknowledge all the low carbon technologies and not kind of push something which is probably premature as of today, and give an equal chance for other alternatives as well, like the biogases. And beside this, increasing the investment support and relevant financial subsidies are crucial in order to accelerate the investment into these new value chains. And as I said, a dedicated market development, creating the demand for this sustainable fuels together along the value chain is also very crucial. So that's all what I wanted to share with you. We are committed to be part of this transition, and this green transition, in our view, besides sustainability, should focus on competitiveness as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Horváth Ádám, and welcome to the RSSE family.